day one rights, it was ridiculous. You could always get rid of somebody after that probationary period. What was wrong...
is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, though, because if an employer employs someone and says, sorry, I just don't think you're any good, you're not a fit, that's not fair, but what is fair?
No, it's perfectly fair to say after 6 months, we've tried you, we thought you were good for the job, we thought you had the skill set, we thought you could do it, you can't, we're going to get rid of you.
Why do you have to wait 6 months?
But you have to wait. You only have to wait 6 months if you're trying to do it unfairly.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Unfair is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
No, well, of course.
Depending on the definition.
But unfair.
What does unfair mean?
Unfair dismissal goes to tribunals all the time for people who've been in employment for more than 2 years, right? You go for an unfair dismissal. It's then tried in the employment tribunal. If you've been unfair, then you're in the wrong. But if you've been unfairly dismissed, you get compensation.
Go to a tribunal within a couple of weeks of someone starting a job, then? If
the employer is unfair.
Yes, but then they've got to go through a tribunal with someone that's only been working there for a fortnight.
OK.
Because they're in the wrong.
Well, you don't know that they're in the wrong, because the tribunal would decide. So who wants to go through that? Sorry, Pat.
What worker wants to take on a job and then immediately start an unfair dismissal?
Chances.
You know,
and there's a few of them.
The people who've decided that they don't want to be on benefits anymore, which, earn less money.
Or if they're forced to take a job having been on benefits.
Look, just to round us off in this section, by the way, we might as well stick with the Telegraph because it's been on there. We'll do some other topics, obviously, in the next section. But the Christmas jumpers one is quite good, isn't it? I mean, so Christmas jumpers could upset customers, HSBC tells staff. So they've banned staff from wearing Christmas jumpers over fear that they could upset customers. Apparently, he's told his employees not to wear them this year, because apparently they've had letters of complaint about it. And supposedly some of this is to do with if they're having to give people bad news.
But, Patrick, do you think it is that, or is it something else? Is there an elephant in the room here that this is about religion and culture, and that HSBC are simply kind of woke-washing because they think that certain parts of our demography might take offence to something that is Christian?
To Santa Claus?
No, to Christmas.
We're talking about Christmas sweaters.
To Christmas.
Here.
It is why, as Christo said earlier on, you've got a very appropriate name for this, by the way.
Thank you. They could be Santa Claus Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, no, but Christo said earlier on, we now don't have Christmas trees from Marks and Spencer's, we have winter trees and so on. I'm just saying, is it HSBC being woke and being concerned about them triggering customers based on them purporting something that is Christian as Christmas against the wishes of other demographics in society?
They're not Christian. There's no...
No, but I'm not saying whether it's right or not. I'm saying, is that in HSBC's mind, insofar as why they're...
I wouldn't have
But why else do we now have winter festivals for certain councils, not Christmas festivals?
I don't agree with that.
No, I'm saying it's potentially the same thing.
I'm a practising Catholic. Of course I care about these things.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Christmas sweaters are particularly a Christian thing.
We don't, but HSBC might be concerned that other parts of their customer base do.
I think you're pushing it.
I'm asking a question.
Do you want me to read what HSBC said?
Go on, let's see what they say.
We're encouraging colleagues to celebrate Christmas in branches in lots of different ways, including decorating branches, team celebrations and festive lunches. However, it's important to remember branches are spaces where customers receive a range of specialist services that require professionalism and sensitivity. So this year we've asked colleagues in customer-facing roles not to wear Christmas jumpers to reflect this. Whether you believe that or not, I mean, I think that there
sounds like a PR's written that.
But hang on, I'm going to give you one little real-life anecdote. My ex-husband is a founder of Sky News, and one year he was in the newsroom. He was the news director, obviously head of news, and there was a terrible, terrible coach crash.
Oh. Yeah.
Where I think every child on the coach died because they put the arrow in the wrong way for the roadworks. It was very famous. And he walked into the newsroom and he took the Christmas tree down because he worried that when people watched news and they saw this sparkly Christmas tree behind them, it would be tactless and insensitive.
Quite right.
Yeah. And that's a true story.
No, I get that. That's quite an extreme example, though, isn't it? Compared to walking in and being turned down for an overdraft.
However, it's true.
Don't you think?
However, it's true.
No, I'm just saying, but that is at the extremities of an anecdote.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We'll see. So yeah, anyway, I don't know, really. I mean, I'm just trying to think practically, would it really bother me? If someone was giving me terrible financial news, would I really care?
Well, if it was 4 days before Christmas or 5 days before Christmas, you kind of understand why they were in a Christmas jumper.
Can't they?
I was like,
I mean, the irony of this whole situation is I hate Christmas sweaters. I think they're...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you do appear to have a visceral disdain for the Christmas sweater, but Barry, you're business critic.
Well, look, I remember a couple of years ago we had that whole scandal where banks, I think it was NatWest, was particularly, or an element of NatWest, was accused of having deliberately pushed some of its customers into liquidation. Now, if you're a bank and you're going to have to sit down with your customer and say, well, actually, we are now saying that we're going to withdraw our funds from you and that's going to put you into liquidation. I don't think you'd want a Christmas
What are these
sweater.
banks that now see people face to face? I think that's a bygone era, isn't it? I don't think they see people face to face.
Does it happen in other settings as well, though? Like if you're being given your terminal illness diagnosis, does someone wear sort of reindeer ears for it with a nice...
Exactly.
I don't know.
I think sensitivity would demand that the doctor takes off the reindeer ears.
Down in the ward, would they? They wouldn't take the Christmas tree down in the ward, is the point.
But then it won't be that you're saying goodbye
Because
to
it's
someone
still
in the
Christmas.
ward.
Otherwise, we end up with no Christmas.
Or they do the electric things on their heart, and there's a Christmas tree in the background.
All right.
You were bobbing along with the sleigh there, weren't you?
Good. All right, that's probably an appropriate time to end this. So, right, we are going to be talking about more of the front pages. You've got on the front of the Times, have Labour abandoned women and feminism? Mask up, apparently. It's flu season. You need to get your masks back on. England and Scotland, World Cup draw as well. All of that and much more.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
People are getting married less because society has changed. People are simply becoming more secular, and because they're becoming more secular, they don't view that marriage is a divine religious institution, and that more and more people have turned away from God, and because they've turned away from God, they don't view the institution that has been the bedrock of society. So society has changed. People have moved away from religion or organized religion, and they just don't view it as a bedrock of religious religious growth. People don't think getting right with the Lord Jesus or having a pastor in their life as part of their marriage. Also, younger people today care more about their careers. They care more about financial stability. They care more about having their own lives and their freedom than traditional marriage than it used to be. So it's just a big change of society today.
And Charlie Downs, does that matter? Are there negatives to being focused on career and choosing to shack up as opposed to get married in church?
Very much so. I mean, I like to think that I am slightly swimming against the tide because, there we go, I got married at the beginning of last month, and I'm 24. Aww. And the last time that the average age of marriage in this country was 24 was 60 years ago. The average age of marriage now is about 33 years old, which is a historic high. And I think this is largely because of the reasons that Pastor Mark outlined just now, which is that we don't actually understand as young people what marriage is.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in, and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight's late edition. Now, this Christmas, we are putting on a very special event for our wonderful viewers and listeners. On Saturday, the 13th of December, you are invited to join us for our Carols by Candlelight concert. For your chance to be with us, you can apply for tickets by scanning the QR code on screen right now or by going to gbnews.com/carols. The concert will be broadcast on Christmas Eve. So I hope to see as many of you there as possible. It should be a good day. Right, so we are doing more newspapers, of course. Well, we've got, just to remind you what we've got the Times Labour quotes, let women down. The Eye as well have got wear a face mask if you feel ill, the public top. Should we do a bit on that, on the Eye weekend? I mean, I know we spoke about it a little bit in the last hour, but might as well go for it again. If you have flu-like symptoms, limit contact with others, especially those at higher risk. Wash your hands regularly. The only thing I will say about this is that, like, I don't know. Do you think there's a bit of fear-mongering going on here? A little bit of fear-mongering? Maybe. Maybe not. I know that the context of this, by the way, is that apparently there is a stronger strain of flu than normal, so I get that. I don't know. What do we think?
I do. I think it's a question of common sense. If you're vulnerable for whatever reason, either because of your age or because of an ailment you have, and you read and you understand from others that there is a particularly virulent flu going around, then obviously it's up to you to make sure that you guard yourself. But I don't think... I mean, I worry with this, Patrick, that this is kind of 2019-20 all over again. You know, this is how it started with COVID in terms of, let's start masking up and wash your hands and count to 10 and so on. And then all of a sudden we're locked down for the next 2 years of our lives. So I get very concerned and a bit suspicious about this kind of thing. I think it's a question of personal responsibility and common sense.
And that's what they did in Sweden during COVID, and actually their inquiry has now shown that they more or less had the right to...
I said that at the time because I think the Swedish effort was led by an epidemiologist who took the decision to let the disease just run through the population.
To dilute.
And just to protect the elderly people.
Yes.
And he was a veteran of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, so I think he probably did have the right idea.
But he got a lot of stick from it. He stood alone.
Oh, I know. I got a lot of stick from friends when I supported his line. But all I'm saying about this flu is that it is stronger than usual, and it does make... I don't like masks. I try to wear them, very infrequently. But I think it makes sense to take the precautions when you know that there is a serious strain of flu happening. If not, for yourself, to try and reduce the stress on already overburdened A&E departments. It would be, a service to your fellow human beings.
Can I just make one point? You're right about what happened in Sweden, but Sweden's population is extraordinarily different from the UK's. It's a much smaller population and much less densely packed into cities, and that's why they said that the Swedish option wouldn't have worked here.
Well, I don't know. That's
we would have actually got over COVID quicker.
Debatable.
We would have got over quicker.
The difference was that the Swedish effort was run by an epidemiologist directly, and he had overall leadership of the whole thing. Ours was not, and that made it much more complicated because there were political components in our campaign.
But apparently school absences are growing at the moment. The NHS is urged to tackle jab fatigue among some health workers, they say. Yeah, interesting. Whether or not the health workers are going for the flu jab. There was quite a big scandal, wasn't there, during the coronavirus crisis when some of them, quite a few of them actually didn't want to get the COVID jab. And
they were fired. They were fired.
I don't know if they've now been
I did a debate the other day about how they're offering the flu jab in a pub now. And I just think that I just think that's the last place you'd want to. You want to have a vodka and tonic and a bit of peace and quiet. I don't want someone coming up to my table saying, "Do you want your flu jab?" No, leave me alone. I'm sick. I feel like it's almost bordering on harassment. The amount of texts I get about a flu jab. It's constant. It's like being in a bad relationship with none of the benefits. It's like, would you like your flu jab? Then I go to the doctor, would you like your flu jab? Again, in another text, would you like your flu jab?
I think it's just you. Maybe they see you as vulnerable for some reason.
You're old enough to have the...
I have underlying health conditions.
Right, I see, OK.
So that's why. But also, I'll make the... don't mind them telling me about the flu jab. I'm not anti-jab, but I'm pro-choice. And I'll ask me once... and I'll make my decision.
Or
Don't
block them.
harass me.
OK. All right. Right, well, there we go. Can we just have a look at the Daily Express? Why not? And they've got for house market freeze, they say due to budget. Their picture story there is Kate's family carol service. OK, I mean, so we've got today the news that obviously Meghan Markle's, contacted her father, who's lost his leg, apparently, and is, I think, in quite a desperate state in hospital in the Philippines. You've got Kate and William and their children here on the front of several national newspapers, actually, attending the carol service. Family kind of united, I suppose, there, it would seem, anyway. So you like the way that they've been. She was your greatest Britain today, wasn't she, Kate?
She was, because I do think she's done a tremendous job, and we forget she's actually been treated with chemotherapy for cancer. She's in the first year of remission, so she still has some way to go, and yet she's out there with her family doing great stuff in the festive season. I think we're very lucky to have her.
OK, yeah, well, yeah, indeed. I do like seeing them all together. It's a bit sad.
It's so beautiful, isn't it?
You do like
children.
It's, literally what we're about. You know, tradition,
love it.
pomp and ceremony. I love it. Can I talk about the housing market a bit?
Yeah, go on then.
Because obviously that's my background is property. This isn't quite true, actually. So despite the fact that there were a lot of people in the property market that did hesitate, because obviously the budget was very, very, very trailed indeed, actually it hasn't suffered that much, either in terms of price or transactional volume, apart from the top of the market. So, of course, now that we've had the budget delivered, and, there's been, I guess, a little bit more venom towards the top end, it's definitely true to say that those that are selling above kind of £2 million now because of the mansion tax delivered through the council tax system, although 2 years away, that, in terms of sentiment, has not sent a good message to people that are aspirational, wealthy, and indeed overseas buyers that might otherwise have come here. In fact, there's a lot of people, a lot of wealth going, like Mittal, for instance, one of the richest men in the country, has gone, left.
He said that it was actually as well because of inheritance.
As well, tax generally.
But also, but surely then, across the UK, that probably wouldn't have had a massive impact on the property market. But in London, where it's quite easy for a property to be...
Well, prime is being hurt. My point is actually
you can buy a house for £1.5 million in London. That will now be affected because someone would say, well, hang on, in a few years' time, that's going to then reach that 2 million threshold.
Well, maybe. But actually, sentiment in the bread and butter market, as we call it, anything under £1 million is actually OK. It's actually not been affected, despite the fact that there are economic headwinds. That we've rehearsed a few times, I'm sure.
Well, goodness me, Russell and I are agreeing, but he's made a very good case for why the budget actually didn't damage the property market that much. And this is the time of year when actually people stop selling houses on the whole. People don't want to be thinking about moving house over Christmas. It'll pick up again in the spring, and the real impact, I suspect, will probably be what we see around March, April time next year, as houses begin to come back onto the market, waiting for the summer rush.
And also when the Renters' Rights Bill
kicks in in May. There'll also be, I mean, and again, we will probably argue over the reasons, but the Bank of England probably this month will enact another reduction, and actually gilt yields after the budget did drop, which means that fixed-rate mortgage costs have actually reduced.
And we have had 5 cuts in the interest rate in the past year.
And the Independent Bank of England.
Yes, but no, I wasn't. I was just saying we've had the 5 cuts. They do it for a reason, and that's helped the property market.
Cuts don't always equate to a healthy economy. We had interest rates cut after the financial crash in 2008, 2009. No one would say the economy was healthy.
Often they're cut because of a poor economy.
So I'm just saying it's not because of the economy doing well.
All right. So coming up, we've got something, a bit of a surprise for you, actually, is this?
I came back from Israel last week and I have described them as the Hamas Broadcasting Corporation.
Well, Priti Patel is joining The Late Show live as she addresses this.
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
Yeah. Well, Reform UK lodge an official complaint now against the BBC because they had asylum seekers who arrived in this country illegally on BBC Question Time. So we might talk about that when we come back, actually.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. This weekend is looking unsettled with heavy downpours. The only good news is, though, it's staying relatively mild. That's because we've got southwesterly winds, but that is where the rain is coming from. So some very wet weather pushing into western areas through the rest of this evening, and that will move into the north and east overnight tonight, bringing some snow to the high ground of the Grampians. Elsewhere, though, a lot of rain. There will likely be quite a lot of water on the roads through your travel this evening and into tomorrow morning. Once the main rain band clears, that gives way to some heavy and blustery showers. And with strong winds overnight, temperatures will be holding up above freezing just about everywhere. But it does mean we are going to continue to see some further rainfall throughout Saturday. Some quite strong winds actually moving in across eastern areas of Scotland, and with the rain continuing to feed in, we could see some disruption here across eastern areas of Aberdeenshire. Further west, we've got some heavy showers across northern England. Northern Ireland seeing a slightly drier day, but western areas of Wales, the south of Wales in particular, parts of Devon and Cornwall will see some quite gusty winds throughout Saturday. And these showers do bring a risk of hail and thunderstorms on Saturday. There will be some dry weather around, though, actually. Once the main rain clears actually in the north, much of Scotland will see relatively dry weather, and there will be some sunshine here and there across central areas. And as I said, it is on the milder side of things, 10 or 11 degrees. Some areas seeing 12 degrees actually through Saturday afternoon. So not too bad, but definitely a pretty unsettled weekend. A cold start, though, on Sunday morning, and then the next band of rain bringing another spell of heavy downpours throughout Sunday afternoon across the country, particularly actually this time across northern areas moves in. Now that will clear for some respite on Monday, but the next batch of wet and, for some of us, very windy weather arrives on Tuesday.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight's late edition, and I'm going to take us stateside straight away, actually, because the Late Show Live with Ben Leo is well, it's a very, very special edition, isn't it, Ben? What have you got?
Hello, Patrick. Yes, special not because of the snow falling behind me, and indeed it's been falling in DC today. Absolutely freezing cold. Yeah, Priti Patel has been chatting to TV's Bev Turner today for an exclusive interview. Lots of Conservatives are in town this week for a conference, and Priti Patel, of course, the Home Secretary under Boris Johnson, sat down with Bev today for quite a lengthy chat. In it, she talked about, well, amongst other things, the BBC, and not least what happened last night on Question Time, which still 24 hours on, Patrick, absolutely blows my mind. I think it's one of the most despicable things the BBC has done in recent years, and bearing in mind their record, that says something. Also, interestingly, the key line that I took from the interview is Priti was asked by Bev what the Conservatives need to do to regain the trust of GB News viewers, bearing in mind what happened under the Tories last time round. Stay tuned tonight on The Late Show Live, because Priti replied that she doesn't need to convince GB News viewers because of something, something, something. I'm not going to tell you the answer now, of course, because I want you to tune in, but I thought it was a really interesting reply that she doesn't need to convince GB News viewers. Can you guess why, maybe? Elsewhere, Bev took her to town on Priti was slamming the authoritarian nature of this Labour government, citing things such as digital ID. Bev quite rightly hit back by saying, well, look, you were in power, the Conservatives, during COVID, one of the most authoritarian times of recent memory. So, yeah, stay tuned for it. It's going to be in two parts. Elsewhere, Meghan Markle's father, of course, is feeling a bit under the weather, to say the least. He's in hospital. Her stepsister or half-sister, Samantha Markle, has tonight, in the last couple of minutes, spoken out. And elsewhere, I froze my little tootsies off today at the World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. We waited for 2 hours in the freezing cold. Thank you, FIFA. Had great fun doing that. And yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into the analysis of our groups and what could happen here stateside for the World Cup in 26.
Brilliant stuff. All right, well, it's action-packed. Thank you very, very much, Ben, Leo. It's going to be a great show. Let's zone in a bit on this BBC Question Time thing as well. So if you're just joining us, basically there were two people who entered Britain illegally. One man was Afghan, one man is Iranian. And they were in the Question Time audience. Both, I believe, had arrived via small boat and had now been given indefinitely to remain, I think, or refugee status. So that's what happened. What do we make of it? You know, it was a migration special. It was in Dover. The BBC acknowledged that they'd kind of gone looking for them, so they obviously put some feelers out. I don't know whether they had some contacts with them. Did you think it was a bit odd or not really?
I can't see what the fuss is about. Sorry, I can't. It was an immigration special in Dover, which was discussing the small boat crisis. Could it have been slightly better handled? Probably. And could they have had, perhaps, if they wanted to hear all voices in the debate, as I said earlier, I would have invited some of the Pink Ladies, I would have invited some of the people who were a part of the protests outside of Epping, also to perhaps have been specially invited audience members. I would have had that. But actually, free speech sometimes means hearing from people that you know you're not going to agree with. Again, they had refugee status by then, and they were there to answer those questions. So I think, personally, I don't think that Reform should be complaining so much about this. It was part of it was an immigration special.
I agree with you completely. I mean, I really want to hear what they've got to say for themselves. But apart from that, they're an unavoidable component of the story.
The debate.
You've got to put them in the debate.
Yeah, I want to know why Zia Yusuf. What I want to know is the answer to the question that he was asked by the people, because Zia Yusuf didn't give an answer to that.
What was that one? Sorry?
That was about when people have been in this country legally. They're refugees, they've got status, they're working, they've been here for 10 years, working in our health service or wherever they are. Are you at that stage, you've said you are going to deport them out of the country? Is that what you're really going to do?
No, that is not the policy. So the policy is if you work and you contribute, you can apply for citizenship, and you'll have to do that over a period of time. So residency, then citizenship. If you are a consumer, then it is unlikely...
How long?
Hang on, it is all... Indefinitely. Indefinitely, because if you are a burden to the country...
No, I mean, how long do you have to wait?
Hang on.
So you can be thrown out of the country when?
Not thrown out. If you are someone that comes here and does not contribute, so you are a net taker rather than a net contributor, if you then fail to go through the process for residency / citizenship, then you frankly shouldn't be here. That is the policy. And that's common sense, and actually a policy that we know is actually supported by the majority of the British public. Because we should be a country that thinks about ourselves and our population and the economy as a consequence of that, rather than being effectively a dumping ground for the rest of the third world to sponge off of British taxpayers.
Do you deny that your leader, Nigel Farage, and Zia Yusuf, actually, at various times, have said that they would not only get rid of the people who are in the country and are illegal, but they would get rid of people who are on indefinite leave to remain? Here legally...
Indefinite leave to remain will go.
Here legally...
That ILR will no longer exist.
Yeah, but they've been granted that status, so you can't retrospectively ungrant it.
You can if you're in government, Barry. That's what governments do.
Oh, interesting. So you will abolish the legal status that they have.
Yes.
And you will then be happy to deport people from this country. This was the question he was asked.
If they were not born here, they come here and they are not contributing, then they will leave the country, yes.
The question he was asked was when they're working and contributing to the economy.
No, hang on, I've been very
didn't
clear.
Answer it.
I've been very clear. I'm answering it, I think, very clearly.
Yeah, but he didn't.
If you, well, I
Why
am now.
didn't he?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not his handler. I'm not his comm
yes,
guy.
But
I'm just telling you
you
what
are
the policy
representing
is.
the Reform
and I
Party,
think I'm
which
doing
he
it
is the
adequately in
policy
terms
chief,
of articulating what the policy
chief of. So why didn't the policy chief articulate the policy?
You have to take it up with Zia when you see him, as I'm sure he's in the House of Commons frequently.
I'm sure I will.
Well, I hardly had to do any work there, so thank you very much. Brilliant. If you carry that on into the next section, then we're home. Right, OK, on the issue of BBC Question Time, a spokesperson told GB News, as immigration continues to be a primary concern for people in the UK, Question Time held a special episode in Dover with panellists from across the political spectrum and a local audience with a range of views and experiences. Over 20 audience members asked questions and contributed to the debate, including 2 people with direct experience of the asylum system in the UK who've been granted refugee status. So there we go. Right, well, there's lots to talk about when we come back as well. Nigel Farage is on the front of The Guardian again. And how much is too much to pay for a pint? Well, good. We're going to reveal Britain's most expensive pint next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Further wet and windy weather likely in Greece and Turkey during the course of the weekend. Some heavy downpours, particularly across southern parts of Turkey, extending into Cyprus. Also, as I mentioned, gusty winds. The breeze coming down from the north, bringing a cool feel to Italy, but should see plenty of sunshine here. Same goes for Mallorca and much of the east coast of Spain. If you want temperatures over 20 degrees, you need to be heading further south. Some fine warm conditions in the Canaries. Those heavy showers only slowly easing this weekend in Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racist tonight. On the unpredictable. What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight's late edition. So we're going to reveal the most expensive pint in Britain, I believe. It's a pub in Stratford-upon-Avon, and it's serving what may be Britain's expensive beer. It's £75 a pint.
Is this Labour's cost of living crisis?
No, it's a stout that's so strong it's sold in thirds. Yabard, nice, secured one of just 2 European kegs of Blessed, or Blessed, I suppose, a 21% Imperial Stout from Alaska. At £25 a serving, drinkers get to keep the glass, and the owner expects all 105 pours to sell out. Right, value for money?
Well, I mean, it must taste disgusting,
Yeah,
mustn't
horrible.
it? 21%.
21%?
It'll be horrible,
And
won't it?
That's half as strong as a whiskey.
Yeah. It's stronger than wine. What's wine? 13 to 15?
I suppose it does a job, doesn't it?
Very quickly. Very quickly.
It's the Route 1 approach.
What was that you were saying about injections in a pub?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe this is the anaesthetic.
No, I think this is the intravenous.
Yes, possibly. What do you make? Would you?
I mean, I only really drink vodka, so I mean, I think that sounds completely just, I could down a few of them.
But a third of a pint at a time, would you?
I could drink a third of a pint of vodka very easily, so...
Yeah. In my younger days, I
do encourage everyone to drink very responsibly.
Yeah, well, yes, of course we do. Would you pay that much for the experience of a third of a pint, 25 quid for a third?
I've bought some very expensive whiskey before now in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Islay whiskey. I absolutely love it, but I can't stand stout or beer or anything like that. I think it's like dishwater.
No, OK, fair enough,
I like
all right.
a Corona.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very...
Oh, hang on, is this the other beers are available bit now, is it?
Yeah.
So,
let's
revisit in front of The Guardian. Ex-Dulwich pupil says Farage told me, quotes, that's the way to Africa. It's the latest in a series of stories. Now, Nigel Farage yesterday really massively pushed back on this, slammed the BBC for... well, I suppose what he would argue is hypocrisy, really, because their highest-rated show, I believe, for a period of time was things like the Black and White Minstrel Show. At the same time that Nigel is alleged to have said some of the stuff that he said at school.
But it's not the BBC that's accusing him.
No, it's not.
So, I mean, why push back? I mean, that's just...
it was a BBC journalist that asked the question.
But that's just sort of distraction tactics. The key point is, did he say it? If he didn't say it, then he should be clear about that. But what he said is, I've never said anything racist with malice. Now, if you say something racist...
It feels completely and utterly politically motivated, this, and organised. There is someone behind the scenes orchestrating this. Because, I mean, we're saying that all of these people have just happened to still be on some school WhatsApp group 50 years later.
Believe it or not, journalists go to your schoolmates and they say, oh, what was he like at school?
How do they know? How do they know who Nigel Farage was at school 50 years ago with? I mean, what are we going to see next? The midwife that helped deliver Nigel Farage. He weed on her or something as he came out of the womb, and as a consequence, she wants some compensation.
This is all distraction.
It's ridiculous.
This is distraction, Russell.
This is what they call what about
Yeah.
No, but it's ridiculous because it's 50 years ago.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Should we start talking about Keir Starmer and his fateful trip and his stay in that Czechoslovakian communist camp from a few years back? Should we now judge Keir Starmer as a communist because he stayed with communists in Czechoslovakia back in the 80s?
When you look at his policies...
Well, there you go. Let's talk about that a bit, shall we?
How did you come to know about that? Because a journalist did some digging, and that's exactly what we've got.
Yeah, but they didn't go and find 50 other people that were there with him.
I mean, I think Farage's answer, where he did reference I thought it was very smart of him, actually. And there was some credence to it. I mean, if a BBC journalist asks you about that stuff, and it is unforgivable if he said that stuff, but it was a long time ago. We should also remember the context. But also, the Black and White Minstrel Show ran till 1978.
Yeah.
What year are we talking about that this apparently happened?
Yeah, it's around then, isn't it?
It's 1980, actually, because he was 16 years of age and he was born in 64.
You know, it's the same age as Brad Pitt.
Mm.
Really? They look similar as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. He's the same age as Brad Pitt. Do you think this is going to... So, look, they're going to keep running with this kind of stuff, Linda. How much of an impact do you see this having practically at the polls?
I don't think it will have a massive impact at all. And I don't think, from a journalistic point of view, it's got enough legs to roll on for much longer.
Because it's hearsay.
To be quite honest, I think it'll run out of steam.
I do find the timing of it quite odd. Just not from anything to do with the accusers, but just weird. You know, given that he's been in the public eye for a very, very long time, you've had numerous different situations where I would have thought, you know, there would be opportunity to bring this up.
Well, Brexit particularly.
We're still quite a way away from the local elections. It's normally the kind of thing you get clobbered with just before an election.
Yeah. No,
but be over it.
But why don't this come out in 2015, 16?
Too long a time frame here. It's like if someone said, you know, that Keir Starmer once, before this election, had to carry the Ming vase across the tiled floor. We've got... there's a long, long time before Nigel Farage gets to the point when he can actually win. So this will all run out of road.
Yep.
All right, well, there you go. That's that then. Linda sorted it. That's it. There's no... It won't affect him. There you are. Right, I think
I'll have to eat my words next week.
Well, yeah. I don't think he's going to go anywhere over this, is he? Right, OK. So, there we go. Shall we just talk a little bit about the World Cup draw to round us off? So, it's on the front of the Mirror and on the front of the Sun. Barry's happy, as he was saying. Yeah, he gets to play Brazil twice, once for Scotland in the group and then once in the final. Brilliant. We've got Croatia again, Panama and Ghana. Do you see us?
Give us your expert analysis.
No, the World Cup I'm absolutely into. I think that's a very, very good draw. Other than Croatia, of course, which are traditionally quite good team. But I love the World Cup.
Sorry, what's happening here? What's happening?
I mean, Euro 96 was when I first got into the Euros and international football. 98, of course, you had the Beckham, you know, on the bum.
What are you reading?
I'm not reading anything. Look, that's the Your Say page. So
Hang on, An Idiot's Guide to Football you're reading. An Idiot's Guide to Football.
I love that. It was, that was the era that I...
Well, the pressure's on, though, seriously, because it's, you know, the whole point of getting rid of Gareth Southgate and getting Tuchel in was that this guy's going to win us the World Cup. So it's got that...
I wouldn't have got rid of Southgate.
Really?
Yeah, because I think we had consistency with him. He got us to the final, but he got so much stick. And actually, you know, we were getting better every single time. It was only because we got to the final by not actually playing that well, sort of by default.
I think he wanted to go, though.
Yeah, I think we got sick of all the scrutiny and all of the hassle, because we never let anyone just, like, finish a job. And I think we could have done with him.
But not sick of the 3 or 4 million quid a year he was paid? Well, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, maybe. But I think we could have kept him.
I'm in the minority that I don't care about football at all, thank goodness. It doesn't keep me up at night.
Really? Oh, there you are. So look, sorry, I'm going to have to do the roundup now, then we're going to get to Benlia. So we've got The Guardian, as you know, ex-Dulwich pupil Farage told me that that's the way to Africa, the Daily Mail. Dementia kills 1 in 9. It's time to end cruel injustices. The FT, Netflix seals $83 billion Warner Brothers deal. The Mirror, England's World Cup 2025 draw. The Express, house market freeze due to the budget. The Times, Labour let women down. Telegraph, Streeting, Rayner and the Pact for number 10. And the Sun, that's gonna be tough about the World Cup draw. Let's go to Ben Leo for The Late Show Live.
Thank you, Patrick. Actually, I'm looking forward to speaking to Christo about football. I didn't know he knew so much about it, breaking all those stereotypes. Elsewhere, big interview with Priti Patel tonight on The Late Show Live. Do not miss it. Some really stark lines coming from her, not least about the BBC. And President Trump has taken a rather barbed dig at the UK and our surrender tactics to migration. All that and more in just a tick.
It's the greatest cash prize of a Great British giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country. Well, that's it from me. So, across the front pages here, there is talk of a plot to oust Sir Keir Starmer, Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner teaming up to form an unstoppable duo that will get Keir Starmer out of Downing Street. But let's go stateside now to Washington, D.C., because Ben Lingham's got an absolute cracker of a show lined up for us, haven't you, Ben?
Patrick, sorry to hijack this. First things first, what's your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, A Fairy Tale of New York.
OK, good. It's got me thinking tonight. I was watching a rerun of The Snowman and I did a Daubney and had a little cry and thought, do you know what? Snowman's my favourite. Anyway, on more serious matters, big interview coming up with Priti Patel. Bev Turner has sat down with the former Home Secretary. She discussed everything from migration, the Labour government, the BBC and the future of Great Britain. And elsewhere, Donald Trump, he reposted on Truth Social yesterday a rather barbed tweet aimed at the UK, basically saying the UK has surrendered its nation to migration. And I just thought, you know, it's interesting, the stark contrast between Trump and Starmer in public. President Trump very complimentary, but behind the scenes, he doesn't seem to really like him at all. Let's do this. This is The Late Show Live. Hello, good evening to you. Exclusively on The Late Show Live tonight, Priti Patel lands in Washington, D.C. and says America's doing conservatism properly.
Refreshing, and this is really the key thing. The public back home, they're crying out for change, actually. Yeah.
She also tortures Sadiq Khan, hitting out at crime, filthy streets and the police.
It pains me when I see what Sadiq Khan has done to our great city.
And she claims President Trump is stealing her migration plan.
It's the President of the United States, President Trump, who has adopted one of my policies, which was the Rwanda proposal.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Conservative Party interview without hitting out at Reform UK.
Talk and talk and talk. Number one, they've got no experience. They have no idea what it is like to enact legislation in the way in which I have.
Facial recognition, digital ID. Dame Prissy also called out Labour's Britain as a surveillance state.
When it comes to digital ID, we've been out there from the get-go in terms of rejecting it and saying it is simply not right.
And she also hit out at David Lammy's plans to scrap jury trials.
What an absolute affront to, justice.
Elsewhere, pressed on pandemic overreach, Dame Prissy insisted the Conservatives have a new course and won't repeat it.
We can't keep on looking backwards. Yes, you learned the lessons. We're doing that right now.
And she delivered a bombshell new line on the BBC.
I came back from Israel last week and I have described them as the Hamas Broadcasting Corporation.
And, of course, she explodes at the corporation for platforming an illegal migrant last night, and I still can't believe they did this, on Question Time.
Let me just say this now. That is outrageous.
And Dame Prissy admits what politicians are too scared to say.
Do they make the country less safe?
The answer is yes, of course they do.
And she doesn't take any prisoners when it comes to telling us what she really thinks about delays to elections.
Absolutely appalling, and it tells us everything we need to know about what is, quite frankly now, an authoritarian socialist government in the United Kingdom.
And of course, we're live in Washington, D.C. tonight, just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and that matter to Britain too, including a dramatic late twist. GB News learns the Duchess of Sussex has finally reached out to her father, Thomas, who's now fighting for his life in intensive care. And within the last few minutes, Samantha Markle has hit out at the Duke and Duchess with a rather bombshell attack. Stay tuned for that. But also tonight,
please welcome the very first winner of the FIFA Peace Prize, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Well, I waited long enough to get in there today, 2 hours in the freezing cold snow. Thank you very much, FIFA. Appreciate that. GB News had inside access to today's huge World Cup drama. Scotland get Brazil, England get Croatia, and President Trump, well, he got FIFA's first ever Peace Prize. We'll bring you all the reaction. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and our night's just getting started. Hello, hope you're well. Thank you for your company, because tonight a big exclusive interview straight out of Washington, D.C. Former Home Secretary Priti Patel's here, and she's not holding back. She says America is doing conservatism better than Britain. She blasts Sadiq Khan for turning London into a crime-ridden mess. She claims Labour has lost control of borders, and she takes aim at Reform UK, saying they talk, 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 and can't deliver a thing. Plus, an explosive attack on the BBC, and why she thinks President Trump is proving her right on migration. This is what Dame Priti exclusively told The Late Show Live.
Priti Patel, it is so nice to see you in Washington, D.C. Why are you here?
So I'm here doing my shadow foreign secretary role. I'm meeting like-minded conservatives, basically, from political parties around the world. I'm attending something called the International Democracy Union Conference.
Sounds thrilling.
But it's full of leaders from our sister parties. So good conservative values, beliefs, those of us that are big champions of enterprise, strong economies, freedom, Bev, all those core values that basically have made us such successful political parties in the past. And what better place to do it than in Washington?
And how different does it feel to you here, the political mood? Because it strikes me every single day that those true conservative values are being lived out, not just talked about, but actually enacted in policy. And there's a belief system that runs through this government which is just so well defined.
You know what, it's refreshing, and this is really the key thing. I think think probably the public here, I know the public back home, they're crying out for change actually, because they want people that will deliver, but also people with experience. And you know, the administration here, guess what? The president has previous experience, and he's brought it back with new gusto to the United States here and to the people in Washington. What I've really noticed, other than the weather is still as cold as it was when I was here for inauguration, it's probably not as cold, but even so, the snow and all the rest of it, is that when I came here in January, Washington, you know, still had a homelessness problem. It had a lot of the type of scenes I'm afraid we see in London, for example. And coming back now, the streets are cleaned up, people can walk around freely. You know, there is a different feel to this city, and it is a political city, obviously, because it's the heart of the administration. But it feels very business-like, very practical. Things are getting done and things are moving forward.
Now, if Keir Starmer was here, or Sadiq Khan, and they could hear you talking about England and London like that, they would be saying, well, hang on a minute, we've only been there for just over getting on to a year and a half. That all happened under the Conservatives. What would you say to that?
Well, I'm afraid they haven't got a leg to stand on. And let's talk about London. So I was Home Secretary, and I was involved in helping to clear up the Park Lane operations. You remember everything that went on, Tent City down there?
It was the Tent City of the illegal migrants.
We actually took action. We took action against that. And as someone that, you know, is born in London, my entire professional working life has been in London, it pains me when I see what Sadiq Khan has done to our great city. London is a fantastic city. I've travelled the world, even with my professional background previously, and so coming back to London has always been a great boost. You see it now, guess what? Riven with crime. We have a mayor of London that failed to meet his policing targets when I was Home Secretary and we were recruiting 20,000 more police officers. He couldn't even meet the targets that we'd set him to recruit more officers. He's clearly lost control of policing when it comes to law and order. Rubbish piling up in the streets. More Labour London councils, and there are London elections next year. And quite frankly, I think he is a terrible mayor, to quote President Trump.